What did you call me?
Davide.
Davide, okay.
What do you call me? What are you calling me?
You punk. I am coming into tonight's show very unprepared.
Me too.
Okay, good. Monday was
your excuse?
A holiday for us, so I've been off by a day all week, and I didn't realize until an hour ago that we were recording tonight.
How are you off by a day? So you woke up and thought it was Friday?
Well, it is Friday for me.
Oh, it is Friday. Sorry. You woke up and thought it was Thursday?
Yeah, it's feeling like a Thursday. Between, so Monday is a holiday for us. And then I took the Friday before the weekend off to go on a trip with my daughter. So I guess long weekend on top of short week. And the weird timing of our last episode with Christian, I just was not anticipating tonight being a recording night for us for some reason.
Yep, fair enough. Well, I kind of struggled to put any sort of show together, topics-wise, which sounds wrong because we should have all sorts of post-WWDC stuff to talk about, but I don't know. Wasn't really feeling anything for conversation.
Well, we can just wing it tonight.
All right, I'm done.
Because that's so different than what we usually do.
Good morning, I suppose.
Good morning.
Good morning. I got you know how I broke my iPhone 10, almost 5-year-old iPhone 10 about a month ago. And I said at the time, I'm not going to put any more money into this because I've already had the screen replaced twice and the battery's in the 70s for battery health and almost definitely getting a new phone this year. But it was dead. Like the screen was off. I knew the phone was on because my watch was still connecting. I could still get notification sounds, but the screen was gone. So I did my research. I tried to find out what's the most economical way to get me from June to September with a working phone. And in the end, I just settled upon replacing the screen and getting a new battery at the same time in the iPhone 10. So I have renewed my iPhone 10. It is as if it was a week old at the moment, and it's a beautiful thing.
How does it perform with a new battery now?
The battery goes for a long time. Well, a lot longer than I was used to. Probably not anything compared to the newer phones. But apparently, the battery tech has evolved a little bit since the iPhone 10 was released. And I actually have a battery in there that has a bigger capacity than the original battery from Apple. Because, of course, I didn't get Apple to do this because I'd already had, a couple of unauthorized Apple repair centers do the previous two screens. So Apple wasn't going to touch it. So, yeah. The guy down the road who did it put a bigger than OG battery in there, and it seems to last for a very decent amount of time.
And was your battery percentage previously low enough that your performance is being throttled at all? Do you notice a speed improvement, or
we talked about this once because I was confused about what everything on that screen meant, and I think we decided that my performance hadn't been throttled yet because there was no toggle there, so it had never got to the point where it was drawing so much power to shut off. I think only after that point do you get the toggle to choose to have your phone randomly die sometimes, and I wasn't there yet.
Okay.
So performance-wise, it's much the same, although I did have a few glitchy, annoying things with the previous screen. I'd actually got the more expensive screen previously, which was an OLED screen, and it had just a few little annoying niggles that you don't get on a genuine repaired screen. Just with 3D touch being not where you'd expect it to be touching and double presses, just annoying stuff like that. This time, since it's only going to be a few months, I just got the cheapest LCD, and it actually performs better. Not image-wise, because blacks are grey, as with all LCDs compared to OLED, but just touch-wise, it does perform better. So yeah, had a little win there.
Is the resolution the same, or is it a lower resolution screen as well?
I never even thought to check.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that this isn't going to tempt you away from upgrading your phone this year, and you're still anticipating doing that in another couple months.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a new phone year. I mean, 5 years out of a phone, I've definitely got my money's worth on this phone.
Yeah, for sure.
And just trying to think about what the biggest weaknesses are. I think possibly the front-facing camera is one of my biggest gripes with it because it is quite a low-res camera and it only does 1080p video.
Do you record a lot of video with your front camera?
Not a lot, but I definitely notice it's bad when I do. And that's possibly the reason that I don't use it a lot. I like to, me and the kids sitting on the couch or something like that, and it just looks like junk.
Right. Okay.
And I definitely notice a performance difference when I go to pick up Yasmin's iPhone 12 mini. That thing flies by comparison. Although I'm not typically annoyed day to day using the 10 with its performance, but it is slower than a 12, that's for sure. And I bet miles slower than a 14.
It probably only has another year or two left of software support at this point too, since it's now the oldest supported phone running iOS 16.
Now that you mention it, one thing that would stop me from getting the latest iPhone this year, the new iPhone, is that all my other devices are not getting software updates. So I kind of should prioritize them for getting hardware updates first. Watch and MacBook Pro. So that's the little question mark next to new iPhone 2022.
Is it porque no los dos?
Love that meme.
Yeah. Do you think you'd get a MacBook Pro, or you think you'd go for the new Air?
That's a very good question. Because you know how much I love my SD card reader.
Right.
But that new Air, gosh, does that look good. And it's like half the price as well. That's got that going for it. I mean, can I put up with a little dongle for half the price? Is it half the weight? It's probably about there.
Yeah, it's significantly lighter.
I'm really looking forward to going into the Apple Store and handling one, because I might fall in love.
You could even just get a new iPad, use that as a laptop replacement.
I don't think I'm going to go down that path again.
It's got Stage Manager now.
Hey! It still has the janky version of Lightroom, though, which I can't really use professionally.
Right. Did you ever get a chance to try Lightroom Classic once it got updated to support Apple Silicon?
Yeah, I did. And because I had the MacBook Air with the M1 and 8 gig of RAM, it just choked. It was awful.
Oh, okay. I knew you had issues, but I thought that your issues were from before it was actually officially supported and it was running through Rosetta. So I didn't know if it made a difference afterwards.
Yeah, it was a little hazy because that week kind of just flew by that I had the laptop. It might have actually been the new Lightroom that was optimized for M1. Yeah, so not Classic, but the new Lightroom. And so I actually had that version of Lightroom unoptimized and optimized. And on 8 gig of RAM, it was just junk either way. So yeah, I probably didn't try Lightroom Classic, the optimized version, but I imagine it would have been similarly poor on 8 gigs of RAM.
Right.
Well, where was I? Yeah, are you considering the new MacBook Air?
No, I'm very happy with my M1 MacBook Pro still. If I didn't have that, I would be going for the new Air over the M2 MacBook Pro currently, but with my use case right now, if I'm going to be upgrading anything, it would be my iMac, because it also doesn't run the latest operating system now. And maybe I'd get a colorful M1 iMac. Finally have an excuse to get one now. So I may very well do that once my home office stuff is slowly coming together. You can probably still tell from my audio that I'm in an unsound treated room at the moment. But once I have
become accustomed to it, because I hadn't really noticed.
Well, I have just more stuff in here now, so maybe that's helping a little bit, but it's not really any soft surfaces. It's just like my wall of old computer displays are all set up now. But anyway, I'm recording out of this room for now, but my intentions are still that I'm going to have my closet under the stairs that's going to be sound treated. And once I move this iMac to that, because I don't need my podcasting computer to run the latest operating system. But once I move this computer out of my office and I have a free desk, I think that a colorful iMac would fit really well in here.
Yeah, nice.
The curse now is, like we went over a few episodes ago, I have every room in my house is a color of the Apple logo. So now I need to get the correlating iMac for each room, so it's all color coded.
Ooh, that's an expensive endeavor. What color does the iMac in the office need to be?
My office is red, which I'm not the biggest fan of, because I don't like how like almost a washed out pink the front is. So I might go with a different color.
And HomePods, there are a few colors of a HomePod you could potentially match with rooms.
Yeah, I've already done that.
Of course you have.
So the problem is they're HomePod minis, and I don't want to use HomePod minis as the primary HomePods in any big rooms, so they're just in bathrooms. And so I've got an orange one and a yellow one in my two bathrooms, which are green and blue. But my green bathroom has all orange accent colors, like the towels are all orange and things like that, the floor mats. So it's got an orange HomePod, and my blue bathroom has all yellow towels and stuff, so it has a yellow HomePod in it.
So we've got blue and yellow and green and orange. Okay. Almost had the right colours for the two home sports teams in Perth. If you just change the orange for a purple. Or,
Green and purple?
Green and purple.
Like a Barney colored team?
Well, it's actually green and purple and red. Actually, they kind of
What's this team? The Glory? Perth
Wait,
Glory.
how did you just look that up, or did you know that our soccer team was called Perth Glory?
I typed Perth sports team into Google, and the first result was Perth Glory Football Club.
Okay. It's probably one of the least known. Well, no, it's probably the fifth most known sports team, I guess, in Perth. Soccer's not that big a sport in Australia. Depends who you ask, though. But this is AFL. So if you look up AFL, Fremantle. Although I guess my colour theme for them is kind of outdated because it looks like they wear mostly white and purple now.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
do you know what my hometown football club's name is?
Yeah, the Kansas Crusaders.
Oh yeah. How did you know that?
Wait, that's wrong, isn't it? The Chiefs.
No. So sorry, not American football. But the Chiefs is correct for football.
So we're looking at the Kansas soccer team.
Sporting Kansas City soccer. Yep, Sporting Kansas City. Our team is called Sporting.
That's not even a team name. That's just the thing they're doing.
I know. The team used to be called the Wizards when I was a kid. But the Wizards was not, I don't know, it didn't line up with like the rest of the world's football clubs. So they did something a little fancier. So Sporting. And weirdly, when they changed their name and they built their new stadium, is that what you call like the surrounding facility around a soccer pitch is still a stadium? I don't know.
Sure.
I worked there and I don't know. But originally the stadium was called Livestrong Park, and it was like sponsored by Lance Armstrong.
Ah, right. Okay. Yeah, that's an issue, isn't it?
It's not named that anymore, but it's kind of a weird mashup.
What's a weird mashup?
And Lance Armstrong having anything to do with soccer?
Oh,
Because
gotcha.
he's a cyclist.
Yeah.
I just thought you might know of my hometown soccer team because we're getting the whatever the biggest soccer game is coming to us next year. The world. I don't know what.
Are you talking about the World Cup?
World Cup? I guess. I don't know.
The biggest
World Cup.
soccer game.
I don't know what it's called. Yeah, it's coming to Kansas City.
Oh my gosh.
2026 we're getting it. Yep.
Wait, it's coming to like coming to North America. Okay.
Kansas. It's Kansas City.
Yeah, but like they're not going to play every game in Kansas City.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's going to be hosted all around North America, but one of the games is going to be in Kansas City.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, which game do you get then?
I don't know. I don't know. Is there types of games?
Who's playing? Jeez, come on. Types of games. It's soccer, but I mean, I suppose you could have like the round stage. I'm also out of my depth, and then like the semis and whatever.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that.
Group stage, not round stage.
I have no clue. I like worked there, and I don't know anything about soccer.
Could you play a game of soccer if you had to?
I mean, I know the basic rules, so I could.
Okay, cool.
If I didn't die of boredom running around for an hour and not scoring anything.
It's possibly a silly question to ask who is playing because they would not have done the qualifying for the 2026 Soccer World Cup yet, would they?
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Well, it's too bad that pulling this conversation all the way back around. It's too bad that the iPhone 10 isn't covered in Apple's like repair it yourself program, or else you could have tried that out.
That would have been interesting. Yeah, interesting. Not only is the iPhone 10 not covered, but Australia in general is not covered. Nothing's offered here. I would have had to drop ship something via you to get it here. The thing I was
like all of the repair
to,
equipment from Apple. The 90 pounds worth of equipment.
90 pounds. What's that in regular units? 40 kilos. Can you imagine what it would cost to ship 40 kilos around the world? So, yeah, even drop shipping would be a little crazy. I wouldn't have even done it then for the iPhone 12 mini back, which isn't offered, unfortunately, because that was the only thing I was looking forward to doing.
Right. I mean, I think you can buy just the parts. You don't have to rent their repair equipment.
Yeah. But you still can't buy the back.
Right, yeah, either way.
So no repairs required. If there's anything I needed to repair at the moment, just while we're talking about repairs, it would be a replacement of my MacBook Pro's battery. Because if you were to take that concept of peak performance issue from the iPhone and apply it to the computer, it's definitely got that. Once the battery's around 50%, if you're looking for peak performance, you're looking at a shutdown.
Oh, wow.
But it's mostly a desktop laptop, though, so it's not a huge concern, except if it catches fire. Then it would be a huge concern.
That's a huge concern of mine at the moment. I was unpacking computers and set up on my shelves earlier today, and my black 2008 MacBook, the battery was very swollen when I pulled it out of the box.
Ooh, okay.
So it's sitting in the middle of my garage right now, so if it explodes, it hopefully won't catch anything else on fire.
Any plans? Why don't you just remove the battery and store it batteryless?
Oh, the battery is removed. That's what I'm saying. The battery
just
is sitting in the garage.
The battery's sitting there. Okay.
Until I can like safely get rid of it, I didn't know where to put it. So,
I mean, you could just take it to like the local Staples and put it in the battery recycling bin, and then check the
my
news the next
local
morning.
Staples is an hour away.
Okay, well, wherever does battery returns.
Right. Yeah. Just chuck it like in the gas station bin.
Explosion rocks, central US. 14 dead.
I actually don't know. I guess I could take it to the recycling center. I think they take batteries.
One's in that state?
I don't know. I actually don't know what the right answer is at the moment. I'm going to figure that out.
So you're saying it's swollen up?
It's very swollen, yeah.
I believe you treat it something like a pimple, right? And you need to get a sharp object and puncture it to release the pressure.
Well, if I let the fire out, then I can get rid of it however I want, I guess.
Hopefully no one takes that seriously. That is a joke.
Don't stab battery. That's actually a concern of mine for your phone now, James, is if battery technology hasn't improved and this like local repair shop is just like, actually, there's more space in here. I can fit a slightly bigger battery. And now it's like just a little bit pinched. You're going to have like a Note 7 situation.
Can you imagine? No, I watched him do the repair and I didn't see him like trying to shimmy anything into a tight space or anything along those lines. So we should be good.
Oh, you're one of those customers that like sits over his shoulder the whole time while he's working.
No, he actually has a couch that stares in at his like workbench, and he didn't have this running, but this is just to give you an idea of what this guy likes. Actually, this is kind of a funny story. He has one of those, I guess, microscopes that gives you a video feed, right? So above where he's working, he's got the microscope with the video feed, and then he's got a TV at the couch, so you can watch him do his work at the couch.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. But it wasn't working because he had an Apple TV 4K, and this is the funny part. He has my Apple TV 4K set up behind his TV to AirPlay to the TV, but the TV doesn't support 4K, so he didn't have it running at the time. Now, that's pretty funny because he actually bought that Apple TV 4K off me after the Olympics last year because I had like a Apple TV 4K set up to watch the Olympics and I just sold it. And he was the guy that bought it off me. So I was briefly reunited with my Apple TV.
So this person that you brought, did you bring it to him because you like knew him, or how did that happen that you knew that was the same guy?
Well, when he came over to buy the Apple TV, he gave me his card and it said like iPhone repairs, blah, 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 blah. And it had his address on there. And I think I already knew that I was moving, and I knew then that I was moving around the corner from where his workshop was.
Wow.
So I kind of kept it in the back of my mind. And then as it happened, I was just able to walk down to get my iPhone repaired because it's just in walking distance.
What are the odds of that?
I know. Yeah.
So did you decide to actually set up an iCloud hosted email?
Well, I've been trying to set up an iCloud. I've been trying to move my domain, moselle.com.au, to iCloud hosted email because I really only pay for my hosting for email. There's really nothing else there. The podcast used to be there. It's not there anymore. There are a few things like I share out of there or hot link, but nothing that can't be moved somewhere else. And I tried to do it when the feature was first available, and it said, all right, your email, james@moselle.com.au, is being used by another Apple account. So fair enough. I thought I'd probably set it up sometime in the past as an Apple account to do some testing or whatever. So I went through the process to wipe that Apple account off the face of the earth. And then just like every time my hosting came up for renewal, it would prompt me to go and check, can I now add that email account to iCloud hosted email? And every single time it would say, this email account is in use by another Apple ID. And my early search results for how to fix this said, oh yeah, I had the similar error. I contacted Apple support, and then, within a couple of weeks, I was just able to use it with iCloud hosted email. Like eventually it just kind of is removed from Apple's servers. But,
okay.
I mean, I found something else out about maybe a month ago, which is I went about it all wrong. You cannot simply go through the Apple account deletion process because there's a little T's and C's that you are supposed to read when you go through the account deletion process, which says something like, once you have deleted this Apple ID, this email address can never, ever be used with Apple services ever again.
Really?
So what I should have done is change the email address on the account to something else. And then whether I deleted it or not was pretty moot. But I will never, ever be able to use iCloud hosted email with that domain.
Oh, no.
Because, with that email address, I suppose. I could always move the domain and use a different email address, but that would be a whole pain. But yeah, so watch out if you ever go to delete an Apple ID. You'll never be able to use that email address of that Apple ID ever again with Apple.
Well, you're just going to have to come up with a new email address.
Any suggestions?
jamesvd@mosul.com.eu.
James Van Der at Mosul.com.
I don't know. Email addresses are so hard. It seems like you and I are in a similar boat for what we look for in making a custom domain and email, because I really wanted David@Freeman dot something.
Dot software,
Freeman,
right?
That's what I had to settle on, because most top level domains for Freeman, dot anything is long taken. And I really don't like it. So I've basically abandoned that domain entirely, because Freeman dot software is too long of a TLD.
It is quite long, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. And it's too weird. The few times I ever tried to use it, where I'm like, my email is david@freeman.software. It's like, that's not a real email address. .software is not a website.
I do have one thing that could convince me to change my email address, which is this year, Australia has been granted or gained or whatever, the AU TLD. So previously, Australia, since I think there's only one website which is .au, which is CSIRO.au. And the CSIRO is one of these companies organizations that more or less invented the internet. In fact, I think they invented Wi-Fi. So they're pretty tech progressive, tech forward. So they got AU before there are standards about TLDs. But everything else is .com.au. Sounds a little bit American, if you know what I mean, because you guys are .com and then we got .com.au. So why don't we just a subset of .com? Doesn't feel good, man. Feels bad, man. So this year, we managed to get rid of the .com. So if you already own the .com.au, you can have priority access to the .au. So of course, I will jump on moselle.au and considerably shorten my email address. Maybe if I don't know. Would you do it if you were in this boat?
I guess. I mean, I definitely would if all things were the same. The only thing that might make me hesitate would be if that email address is very heavily used, it might be difficult to migrate. But I guess you could do just indefinite forwarding if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But if you're getting a whole new TLD, I might even go for a really premium one. I don't know what that would be. Something short. VDM.au. I don't know if you would prefer that or not. Probably not in a professional setting, huh?
Yeah. It's in a battle with my other account, which is @me.com, which I really like because it's short and it's company agnostic, and despite being with my favorite company, maybe I should consider it, because no one can spell Moselle.
Right? Yeah, VDM is very self-explanatory. So that's I regret. I'm also just barely on the boat of I've got an @me email address too, but it's jellydonut@me.com. Is my email address. So it's I love my email address, but it's not professional. And even when I do try to use it, I have to tell them which spelling of the word donut is used. So it's just not a good email address.
Yes, right. And there's no way to claim an @me address now, is there?
No, not since 2013 when iCloud
really
came out? Maybe even 2012. Yeah, 2012, because the iPad 3 was the first device with the holographic iCloud logo that came on the box.
Oh, really? There you go.
Yeah. So anyway, I regret wasting my @me email address as a silly high schooler.
So you've been running iOS 16.
I sure have.
And watchOS 9?
I don't have watchOS 9 yet, and not really for any reason other than I've been too lazy to install the profile. There's just nothing in there that looked interesting to me.
Yeah. But you did a crazy thing and went traveling with Dev Beta 1. Yeah,
I hinted to this trip in our last episode with Christian, and I didn't really think much of it going into it, but I realized over the course of my trip how much I relied on my phone while we were away, and how big of a mess I would have been in if my phone had stopped working on me for any reason while I was out. But I thought that I wanted to document everything that I used it for and anything that went wrong, specifically so I could talk to you about it. And so I started a note just in my iPhone to keep track of it, and then I decided it would work better, or I might as well make it a Twitter thread, so that I don't know why, so that other people could consume it, but you're the only one that read the Twitter thread, so
I don't know. You had a couple of likes before I got there.
Yeah, a couple random people who's like must have been searching Twitter for like iOS 16 and found the thread. But it was definitely eye opening. I guess I can do a high level of the Twitter thread. So first of all, something really cool that my state does is there's an app called Sunflower Summer, and it's specifically designed for students in the state, like all of the museums and wildlife preservations and like event centers and all of that, group all of they put a bunch of free passes in the app so that school children can go around the state and visit all these museums for free. You get like one free pass per venue. And this is the second year they've done it. And so Elizabeth and I like to go out and get at least some use out of that. And
so the kid gets in free and you have to pay?
The whole family gets in free.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's not the circus situation again then.
No, yeah, it's much better than that. Yeah, so it costs nothing except for travel expenses. But the biggest city in my state is called Wichita, and so we try to at least take a weekend every year to go out there and visit all of the museums and everything they have out there. And so last weekend was our weekend to do that. And so prior to going on this trip, my battery life had not been great, so I bought a external battery, and I was really tempted to go with Apple's MagSafe battery pack, but I was worried the capacity wasn't going to be enough to get me through a full day of being out and about. So I bought the Anker 622, which is a magnetic battery, right? Because it's not an official MagSafe product. But it has a significantly higher capacity. It's 5,000 milliamp hours. You can get it like color matched to your phone, and it's got kind of a neat little stand built in, so you can use it to hold your phone up to.
Nice.
So the battery is fine. It worked well. It's not as nice as Apple's because it's obviously bigger because it has a bigger capacity, but it's also like just slightly longer than the bottom half of the phone is, so it sticks out just the smallest bit from the bottom of the phone, and that drove me crazy the whole weekend.
Oh yeah.
But it is USB-C, so it kind of gave me USB-C charging for my iPhone for the weekend.
Oh my god, which was amazing.
But I actually didn't end up. I could have gotten away without it, and I guess kind of to spoil the end of the trip, I decided to, after realizing how well my battery was doing for the weekend, put it to the test at the end of the weekend, and I used it for the whole morning, taking photos out and about with my daughter, and then I used it with wireless CarPlay in my car to do GPS directions and streaming podcasts for the 3-hour drive home. And I got home with still over 50% battery left after a whole day of using the phone pretty heavily by my use cases.
So I'm guessing your car's got its own GPS then, because I don't think if it was using the phone's GPS for navigation, it would have burnt a lot more battery, right?
I don't think my car has a GPS.
Oh, wow, that's impressive.
It doesn't have built-in navigation. I only get it through CarPlay, so unless it just has a GPS that's not used. But yeah, it's extremely impressive. That's better battery performance than I would have expected, even out of like a full public release.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think the battery ended up being unnecessary. So I kind of regret, if I was going to buy one, I should have bought the Apple one, because I think I would have been happier with that. But I use my phone for directions, getting around town. I used it for tracking, an AirTag I attached to my daughter's waistband while we're out and about in public. I used it for taking photos all weekend. It was my room key for getting in and out of the hotel. I used it for Apple Pay transactions for buying food. I used it for Fandango, bought movie tickets. I used it to rent electric scooters to ride around downtown while we were there. I had never occurred to me until I started documenting how much I rely on my phone for just day-to-day stuff, especially on vacations like that.
And all of this stuff worked on the iOS 16 Dev Beta 1. It's very impressive.
Yeah.
There
I
must
had
have
it.
been something that was janky, though, right? Nothing works perfectly like that.
The only application that didn't work for me was my banking app.
A classic.
On Dev Beta 1.
Why is it always the banking apps? Seriously. What do they do?
They must have like some like high level of security. I don't know. And I actually figured out a workaround even for that, because the problem is that my bank app lets me log in with Face ID. And whenever it would try to let me log in, it would scan my face and then it would have something like this device ID isn't registered with your Face ID or something. So it would fail, but then immediately scan my face again. And it kind of get in like a loop where it would keep scanning and failing. But if I covered up the Face ID scanner so that it couldn't scan my face, it would let me enter my password and get in that way. And that worked fine.
Okay.
I had one actual crash, like it was like a respring that then presented me with a crash message once it resprung. I think this is new this year with the betas, but they actually prompt you to share crash logs instead of you having to open the feedback app. So it would respring. I get notifications like, do you want to share this with Apple? So I have been doing that more as a result.
Yeah, that must be new. I've never seen those screenshots before of that dialog box.
Yeah. So, but if anything had happened, and I've had even not developer betas, just like full public releases of iOS in the past, it seems to be my luck is that my phone, gets bricked or something while I'm on a vacation. And so I've always brought a laptop with me generally so that I could restore my phone if I had to. And I didn't even bring a computer with me this weekend. So I was being very, very silly. Because I would have been totally out of luck.
You don't have cellular on your Apple Watch, do you? Because that could have been a backup potentially.
I mean, it's a cellular watch, but it's not active.
Yeah, and you need your phone to activate it, so you couldn't have got out of anything with that method.
No. If my phone had stopped working, the first thing I would have done probably is like gone to a store and bought like a cheap like prepaid phone, just so I had something in the case of emergency while I'm out and about in this town that I don't know. But also, I would hate to miss out on a weekend of like taking photos on a trip with my daughter. So I'd want to be able to do that still. I could have gone to the hotel front desk and got like an old-fashioned room key if I had to, and I would not have had access to those free passes for those venues. So I'd have to pay, whatever the $20 or something entry fee to these museums would have been. So it wouldn't have been the end of the world, but it would have been pretty inconvenient.
Yeah, would have cost you a bit more in the end.
Yeah, it certainly would have been more expensive.
And cost in time-wise as well.
Right. So anyway, don't do what I did.
Dev Beta 2 has since been released as well. Have you updated to that?
Yeah, I installed the update. It seems to be about the same.
Well,
I know it's easier to delete lock screens now.
Oh, okay. A lot of people on the iOS beta subreddit had issues with their phone getting really hot on Beta 1.
Oh, really?
Those problems seem to have been fixed. So maybe Dev Beta 2 is the way to go for the more adventurous iPhoner.
My phone did get hot over the weekend, but I assumed it was because I had the battery pack on it. And wireless charging the whole time probably wasn't helping anything. But maybe it was the beta. I'll have to try it out again.
Could have been. And actually, now that we're speaking about heat, I'm not sure if this is a new thing or not, but the phone will stop charging itself when it gets too hot, and it will show you when it stopped charging on that battery usage chart you get when you go settings battery. Do you know if that is new, or is that an iOS 16 feature?
That's not something I've ever heard of, so it could be new.
Yeah, so maybe when your phone's sitting on a wireless charger and the sun passes and through the window and it starts heating up too much, it'll stop charging just to make sure it doesn't get too hot. I wonder if it's like like when the phone's in the car on a hot day and it's like 40 plus degrees, if it's that level of heat, or if it's more like a battery preservation level of heat where I don't know what the temp would be, but I'm thinking around 30 degrees sort of heat. Yeah,
it's definitely being more proactive about disabling some features when it gets warm, because I did notice this weekend, as a result of it never felt like left in the car hot, but it was just always warm with the battery pack on it. When I was taking photos in the camera app, there was a little exclamation point warning icon at the top of the screen. And if I tapped into that, it said that flash was disabled on my phone because it was too hot. So I couldn't take photos with flash.
That's not a new feature.
Oh, is it not?
No. I know you can't use the torch when the phone gets hot. In fact, with my iPhone X's dodgy battery for the last 6 months, I've frequently been unable to use the torch because of heat-related issues. So I'm sure the camera flash would be lumped in with that too.
I suppose. You wouldn't think that a short flash would warm up the phone significantly enough to make that much of a difference.
Flashes use a lot of power, a lot, and they can get really hot really quickly.
Okay.
Flashes in like the 80s could actually kill you if you weren't careful.
How's that?
Say you were trying to repair one, the capacitor in it held like such a huge amount of charge that the shock was enough to stop the heart.
Ah, okay. I thought you were going to say that they were so blindingly bright it could cause a seizure or something.
No.
Okay, so it's like trying to repair an old CRT.
Yeah. You've warned me against
Touched
that
the wrong
before.
thing. Yeah. Well, I see that you have another point here about WWDC topics. Was there something specifically that you thought we didn't talk about enough last time?
I'm just scrolling through the list. I don't know. What about you?
I don't know that I had. I think, especially if we're using my list as reference, I've tried to make sure to touch on every one of those bullet points.
Oh, yeah, we certainly did. But, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe there was something that we could talk about at greater length.
This is not related to WWDC, started work on another, a first mobile application.
Well, what do you mean
an
by
iPhone app?
An iPhone app? Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing more singing now than I used to, and one way that I practice singing, there's learning tracks you can sing along with, and they're really useful because they can do things like play your voice part in like the left channel and all the other parts in the right channel, which is nice for if you're in the car, because your part is going to be the loudest because it's right next to you. But also you can adjust the panning of the audio so you can have just your part if you need to focus in on that, or you can... There's a loud car driving by. Can you hear that?
I did hear something.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, or you can pan it completely the other direction so you can sing your part with all the other parts. And it's a very useful thing, but there's a couple issues with it. First of all is I don't like putting those learning tracks in my music library because I don't want it coming up shuffling through my songs. And adjusting the panning in your car is not easy. You got to like go through multiple layers of audio settings to get to it, and then it's like a touch screen slider. We kind of got to drag it around, and it's tedious, and it's not easy or safe to do. So especially because I keep my learning media in like the Files app. So if I want to practice in the car, I've got to like open Files and navigate through the folder structure to which learning tracks I want to play, and then I've got to adjust the audio playback in my car, and it makes it so I don't practice as much because it's hard to do. So I wanted an application that I could keep those tracks in that aren't in my music library and presented me with like panning controls from the app level instead of having to do it in my car. And what I really wanted was it to be a CarPlay app so I could do that all from my car's screen. I'm very early in the process of this. Like I have a proof of concept, like the functionality works, but it's ugly. And I was hoping to lay it out on my car, like in a CarPlay app. And you've got to actually like submit your application idea to Apple, and they have to say that your app is good enough and to give you like a profile to make a CarPlay app or a provision or whatever it's called. So I'm in that stage right now where I'm waiting on them to like bless me with the permissions to make a CarPlay app before I can go any farther.
Okay. I wonder if they look at like, do you already have an iOS app and it's already had 10,000 downloads this month, or what's your like background as a developer already, or anything like that, or if they just simply look at the concept and go, the concept works in a car.
Yeah, that's a bit what I'm worried about, because part of the application was, it said it was optional, but part of it was like including the App Store URL for your app, and so I just put like it's in development, it's not out, but I feel like I might have to like ship some degree of just standalone iOS app before they say whether or not it can have CarPlay support.
And I wonder if they might consider it too interactive if you end up putting a panning slider on the screen, because surely they check for that sort of thing. Like, is this safe for a driver to be using this app and to be having to move things left and right, if that's even possible? Because I mean, from what I've heard, you're pretty limited when it comes to controls on CarPlay.
Yeah, you're very limited. Some of the controls that I care about, like another feature of the app, is you can control the speed, so you can slow down the tracks if you're trying to really narrow in on one fast section of a song, and controlling the playback speed while not messing with the pitch. That was interesting to figure out. But I know like podcast apps, you can change change the playback speed from CarPlay, so I assume that would be okay. But yeah, as far as the panning controls, I mean, maybe if there was just a button for like left, right, center, I'd prefer to have a full slider to adjust that percentage-wise. But if that was what the CarPlay interface was limited to, I'd take that over nothing.
Just thinking about the only audio app I really use in the... Well, actually, that's wrong. The one of the audio apps I use in the car, which is Overcast. And you know how... Well, you might not know, but Overcast has like a smart speed feature. So it's not like a 1.25x or a 1.5x. It intelligently looks at the audio and cuts out silences in a way that seems the most natural. And it's kind of like a live updating 1.what-x, and you can see it live in the iPhone app. But I don't think that has ever come to CarPlay because that level of audio control isn't available, and you're just stuck with whatever features CarPlay's API gives you, which is just the normal 1.5x, 1.8x, whatever. So yeah, you might find it tricky.
I mean, if it's just a standalone iPhone app, it does still work as if I'm playing the audio, it shows up in the now playing widget in CarPlay. So I've got that basic functionality there already. But man, if I have to pull out my iPhone still to adjust the panning and stuff, that it would be safer if I could just do it from my radio. I wish Apple would recognize that.
That's like saying, I want to watch a YouTube video on my iPhone, but it'd be much safer if I could watch it on my CarPlay screen. Neither of which is safe.
Moving a slider is not the equivalent of watching a YouTube video.
I know, but just carrying your argument to like the next level.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know where that's going to go, but it's been fun to kind of do some more Swift and Swift UI stuff and play with some, like audio playback functionality, which is not something that I have a ton of experience with. It's been fun to learn some new iOS stuff.
And I suppose you're working on the new Swift UI stuff if your phone's on the iOS 16 beta.
I mean, technically, yeah. Like I'm doing all this in the Xcode beta, but I don't know, much. I don't really know anything about Swift UI to know what is the new features or the old features. So
okay. So what else?
We didn't have any topics pulled out. So my thought was if nothing else, if we ran out of talking points, we could do an kind of like a live reaction feedback to like the top posts or whatever in our /Apple.
Okay. Top of the last week or top right now?
I'm on top of... Oh, I can't see. Hello? Where do you see? Oh, there we go. Top of past week.
Top of the last week. Okay. AirTag helps man discover lost luggage graveyard in airline offices. This is actually an Australian guy. So he flew on Singapore back to somewhere. And when he got back, just trying to remember the story, they said, your luggage never connected in Singapore, so just, we'll let you know when it's here. So he went home, and then he saw on the AirTag that it eventually got to, I think it was Melbourne. Let's just say it was Melbourne. He saw it was there, but he never got a call from the airline. He called the luggage company, something like Swiss Hotel or something, can't remember. Actually, I could probably just open the article. That'd probably be smart. He said he called them 16 times, and they never called him back. Swissport, there we go. He called Swissport 16 times and never got called back. So eventually, he just went with his phone to the airport and found his way through the back offices, apparently. I wonder if he was accompanied by staff, like surely, because airports are pretty high sec. And then eventually he found his bag, not in like a lost luggage area, but just dumped in the corner of a general office along with tons of other bags. But he got his bag back, which is apparently filled with thousands of dollars worth of cycling equipment.
It's like the ideal use case for an AirTag.
Yeah, no one has stolen it. It's just, you just don't know where it is. And it's also in a very populous area.
Right, yeah, exactly. So A+ there. All right, next one.
iOS 16 will let iPhone users bypass captures in supported apps and websites. So there's some sort of
that's something we didn't talk about.
Token or something. I don't know if I even knew about it until I saw it on the subreddit. Like a thing that tells websites that this is a real person, because they're on an iPhone, I suppose. What are the odds that there's going to be like a bot running an iPhone to bypass captures? John Gruber's take on it was, yay, no more helping Google develop their self-driving car. which I thought was exceptionally cynical.
I really, really dislike CAPTCHAs. I know it's generally a meme to say this, but I legitimately don't understand what they want out of me when they say something like tap all the pictures that contain like a traffic signal, and like the very corner of the signal is in another photo. It's like, do I tap on that or not?
What do you do? Tell me.
I generally tap on it, and most of the time it works.
Yeah.
So I don't think they are actually that. I don't think they care. I think you could go either way, and it would let you in still, because there's some kind of confidence level associated with it. It's not pass or fail specifically, but it's interesting. I don't know enough about how CAPTCHAs work, but the fact that there's an automated way to pass CAPTCHAs, it's like you have a bot to get past the bot check. I don't fully understand how that works, but I'll definitely take it. I was a big fan of the I don't even remember the no-click CAPTCHAs that have been a thing for the last 4 or 5 years now, that generally in the background, like just from your interaction with a web page, like it can tell that just by like you're not precisely moving your cursor around, it won't prompt you with a check most of the time. So anything to further get rid of those is great.
Yeah, I don't really find them annoying. The only ones I found annoying were Microsoft's old ones, where it was a really squealy text and you were never sure if it needed to be capitalized right or what. But yeah, I don't mind.
We haven't had those in a long time.
I don't mind clicking on a few buses or mountains, whatever.
If it's once, I'm generally okay with it, but when it presents me with like 3 slides worth of images in a row, it just seems to be not happy with what I'm doing. That's when I get frustrated.
Oh, you're right. Those are annoying. And the new slides always fade in at like such a slow rate. Like they're not... Yeah, not so much where you have like 3 different slides, but when it's refreshing the grid every time you click on something, and it just loads the next image.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Like at a snail's pace. Yeah, all right. I'll be happy to see the end of them. Apple Store in Towson, MD, Maryland, votes to unionize. Ah, man, what an American sentence. Haven't even spelled unionize properly.
What makes that so American?
Spelled with a Z instead of an S, and unions just in general, I suppose.
Or are unions not a thing in Australia?
Oh, no, they're a thing, but I don't think they're quite as big a thing.
There's certainly a lot of talk of them here recently, specifically as it relates to like Apple, and I think a Starbucks store somewhere unionized recently. But there's a lot of pressure, like union busting efforts here in the U.S. When I started work at Walmart in like high school, the very first training you had to do was sit through like an hour-long presentation on why unions are bad and what kind of language to look out for, and notify your manager if your coworkers start saying things like fair wages or things like that.
Wow.
So so that's why it's always big news, because there's such a all these big companies put a lot of money into trying to not stop people from unionizing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not really clear on what it all means, but it seems to be a good thing from the workers' perspective, especially if big business is trying to stop it.
That's how you know it's good.
Yeah.
So in other news, Apple closes the Townsend store location due to poor sales or something.
Did I get it right? Is MD Maryland?
Yeah, that is Maryland.
Nice. Maryland.
I think both pronunciations are correct.
Give me a couple of acronyms for states, if that is indeed what that is.
For states? Okay.
Yeah. Test me.
NE?
NE. NE. That's got to be North something. North. There's nothing starting with E, though. New England.
Nebraska.
Damn. 1 from 2. All right, we'll call the next one the decider.
Okay, I gotta pick a good one then. What's a obscure one?
Oh, really?
Oh, well, it's gonna be difficult. A lot of them are very obvious. AR.
Arkansas.
Dang it.
Yes. See, why is Arkansas not pronounced Arkansas? Because it's just got Kansas with an AR at the start, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So Arkansas and Kansas are both named after the same thing, which is the Kansas River that runs through both states. And the Kansas River is named after the Kansa Indian tribe or Native American tribe that used to live along it. But basically the answer is one is the English pronunciation, one's the French pronunciation.
Oh, man, the French just ruin everything about the English language, don't they?
Okay, IL.
Illinois.
Dang it.
That's got to be French as well.
Probably. Silent S, that's how you know.
Yeah.
RI.
RI? Mm-hmm. Rhode Island.
I think what's impressive to me is you know so many of our states' names.
That was a bit of a guess. I wasn't sure that that was a state, not just an island.
Okay.
But like, what else starts with I?
It's not an island.
Oh, really? Okay, there you go.
Yeah. M-N.
Minnesota.
M-O.
Montana.
Missouri.
Oh, trick one.
O-H.
Ohio.
Dang it. V-A.
I almost said Vancouver, but that's not your country.
Nope.
VA. Could be a trick one. It could be Virginia, but
dang it.
Yes, I thought that might be VI though. Man, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, we don't have a V. Oh, we do have a VI. I guess it's Virgin Islands. I didn't know that. Yeah, most of these are really like obvious, unfortunately.
Okay. I think I've proven myself.
Yeah, you've definitely done that.
All right, David. S.A.
South Australia.
Yes. Give you a tricky one. NT.
Northern Territory.
Are you looking these up? You're good.
No, I'm not.
All right. Probably the least known one. ACT.
I have no clue.
The Australian Capital Territory. Kind of a trick.
Oh, okay. So that'd be like DC for us.
I suppose, yeah. Oh, here's a question for you. What state is the Pentagon in?
The American Pentagon? Or are you talking?
Yes.
You have a Pentagon in Australia?
No, we don't have a Pentagon.
Virginia?
Yeah, okay. It's right on the border of Virginia and DC. I had this question in I don't know, some quiz game recently.
Oh,
and
really?
I went for DC.
Well, DC's not a state, so that wouldn't have been the answer to your question.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, topic 4 from the subreddit. WatchOS 9 is Apple Watch's greatest update in years, thanks to Series 3 being discontinued.
That's right. That's the only good thing about WatchOS 9.
That the Series 3 was discontinued, so you don't have to support it anymore. But why, what has come in WatchOS 9 that proves this?
Like, are you saying because it has features that the Series 3 couldn't support?
Yeah, well, that's what this article is trying to say, right? This update is good because it doesn't have to support Series 3. So what precisely is good?
Well, I think if I had to guess what one feature was enabled by dropping Series 3, it was the fact they're able to bring the rich complications to like all the older watch faces.
Okay.
I think that was probably the limiting factor in the past, either because of screen size issues or performance, one or the other.
There's nothing else in this article. There are no other points in this article about why WatchOS 9 is the greatest update because of this. That's literally the only thing it says. Older watch faces are now better because they don't have to support the older screen.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I still don't understand this strategy, like that they're still selling the Series 3 right now. How do they justify that in their heads?
On that topic, there's been a bit of consternation through the week about Mac hardware that's been dropped as well, because the Mac Pro, which was sold up until 2019, is not getting Ventura either. And there are a couple of other similarly newly released computers. Like, what if you brought like a 50K Mac Pro 3 years ago? I'm sorry, it doesn't get this year's update. That's going to leave a pretty bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, it seems like the cutoff was determined by, and I don't know what generation it was, but a generation of the Intel processors, and whether that's because they can rely on some new like hardware features that only that generation of processors supported. I don't know, but it does seem like they were too aggressive with the shears this year.
But at the same time, I think it's got to save them a lot of time in the long run to not be having to do anything for Intel like as soon as possible. So that's probably lit a small fire. That's probably lit a small fire underneath the whole decision.
I mean, I think at some level everyone knows this is coming, because even the Intel Macs that are still getting updates, the amount of features they're getting from the full update is drastically being cut short. So yeah, I think the writing's on the wall that these Intel computers are going to be quickly deprecated.
Last topic: how much would it cost to rent out an entire Apple store for a wedding? So user Foley582, my fiance 25F, and me 47 male are lovers of all things Apple. We only have blah 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 and have only used iPhone since 2007. We wanted to get married in an Apple store. So this is an admittedly troll post. Foley528 admitted in the comments that this is a troll post, but it was pretty funny. and some people actually tried to make a calculation of how much that would cost to rent it out. And the numbers were astronomical.
Right.
If they're anything
well into
like
six
realistic.
figures.
Yeah, 6 figures to replace a day's worth of revenue. Mm-hmm. Wow.
And yeah, of course, I don't think there is a dollar amount that you could offer Apple that they would actually let you do this.
No, I think if Apple ever did something like this, it wouldn't be for a dollar amount. It would be for it's a celebrity doing it, or it's some sort of promo for a new product, or I don't know. Oprah's got the new VR glasses on and renewing her vows in VR.
Right, yeah. Which is, it's too bad, because that's what I would want to do.
Renew your vows in VR?
Rent out an Apple store, or even better, like Cafe Max or something in Apple Park.
Yep.
Get married on the rainbow stage in the middle. So.
Do you have to have a same-sex partner if you're getting married on the rainbow stage?
Yeah, that's a prerequisite.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that would be a cool idea, though. It's too bad Apple doesn't have almost like spaces you could rent out. Maybe not for a wedding specifically, but as like a co-working space, or like some of their bigger Apple stores are multiple floors and have special private rooms in them. I'm thinking for things like back when the solid gold Apple Watch was a thing, like you got a private fitting or whatever in a separate room in the Apple store that was like all finished well. Like those kind of spaces seem like something they could potentially rent out if, they don't need the money, but if they wanted to.
Whatever happened to the Genius Groves? Because they were supposed to be like wooded areas inside an Apple store where you could go and sit down with your computer and do work.
Well, I think there are still Genius Groves, right?
Yeah?
Yeah. It's just, I've never seen one because they're at stores much bigger than the ones around me. Mm-hmm. But I guess, I don't know. They could have decided to deprecate that. But it seems like it's been only in the last 3 years or so that became a thing.
The Genius Grove was something from 2016, so it's been around for a little while.
Okay.
But if you search for it now, you're just getting articles from 2016. You're not getting anything recent. There's no like apple.com book a visit at the Genius Grove.
Let me see. Apple stores with Genius Grove. Oh, they have an Apple store called The Grove. That's confusing.
Yeah, that makes it a little tricky to Google.
Yeah, you're right. All I see is articles from 2016. I don't know. It seems like it's just kind of an expansion of the Genius Bar idea. Because they still do, or I'm pretty sure they still do, those big sessions at their big Apple stores where they got like, you can come do a photo walk with the geniuses, or, you get a session on how to do app development or things like that, or music creation in GarageBand. They still do those. So they need a space to do that, whether they call it the Grove anymore or not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like the Apple store called The Grove, though, is really interesting. Like they've got a bunch of trees growing inside the store.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's 189 The Grove Drive in Los Angeles. So I will put a link to the Apple Store's official retail page in the chat there, but it's pretty cool.
I have been to an Apple store full of trees.
Oh, really?
Yes, really.
Was that in Australia?
No. I'm fairly sure it was somewhere in Manhattan. What stores are there? I don't think it was Fifth Avenue, because that was closed when I was there.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, I think that was when they were refreshing it. Mm-hmm. What have they got? Fifth Ave, West 14th? Is that one?
Ooh, the Fifth Avenue store is a 24-hour store. I didn't realize that.
Huh, there you go. Quickly go through my photos. Surely I took a photo of this wooded Apple store while I was there. Apparently not.
They have so many unique store designs, but like the Fifth Avenue one is almost underwhelming compared to some of their more modern Apple stores, but it's so iconic that it's still like the one that I want to go see the most.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The Grand Central store is kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's a neat one too. I love the ones where they like refurb an old space and try to preserve it as much as possible.
Yes, yeah. Williamsburg, it looks fantastic, and I think it fits that theme.
Williamsburg. Oh yeah, that's a good one. I don't remember what the location was, but they have the one where it's like it was an old theater that's turned into an Apple store.
Oh yeah, okay.
Let's see if I can find it. This is great podcasting content.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah,
Apple
I can't
Store
find the
Tower
one I
Theater.
went to. Huh?
Apple Store Tower Theater.
Tower Theater.
Yep, I just threw it. That's a really good one.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
All right. Well, not bad for both of us being completely unprepared.
Yeah, not too bad at all. I'm James VDM on Reddit and Twitter.
And I'm Jellywoot on Reddit and Twitter.
And the show notes will be at reddit.com/r/bluebubblepod.
All right. right.
All right.
Well, my audio was very bad in the last episode.
Do you think so? I didn't think it was too bad in the end. I put a little bit of de-reverb on it, but that was it.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you did that because I can't imagine how bad it would have sounded otherwise.
Oh, okay. Oh.
It was very reminiscent of our early episodes to me, where I had like a blue Yeti hanging 3 feet away from me, and I thought that was good.
Oh, it was nowhere near that bad.
So I just got a lot of work to do to get to a point where I've got a workable podcasting area, because the space that I want to do it in right now is a completely unfinished basement with cement floors and unfinished walls, and so my office isn't great, but it's still better than that.
Yeah.
So I've debated just buying some soundproof panels and just like sticking them up in this corner that I face into when I record and calling that good enough.
Yep. Might be all right.
Yeah, it seems like you've got your soundproofing just like on that one wall, and it does a pretty good job for you.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So it's in front of me and left and right, but it's only half the room.
Right. So yeah, the only issue I have with this room specifically is it's so open to the rest of my house that if I did some kind of soundproofing, I'd want it to be not just the cheap foam squares. I want to get something that's presentable and decorative.
Yeah.
So,
color matching.
There you go. Yeah, if I could maybe I get all the Apple logo colors and I stripe it down the wall.
That's exactly what I was picturing. Kind of like the rainbow. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's another problem I've had, actually. My shrine closet is still empty because I cannot figure out what to put in there or how to lay things out to make it usable.
Well, it's a passion project. You don't want to rush these things.
Right. So my problem is also that all the things I like the most, I want them on display in my office where I can see them all the time.
Yeah.
So I've kind of already used up all my good stuff and I don't have much to fit in that little closet.
Well, it's got to be the stuff you don't like, really, because, it's at risk of vomit attacks and all sorts of things.
Right, yeah. Dangling power cords to strangle children or something.
Oh, that's a small concern next to the vomit ingress.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm glad we're on the same page now. So I do think it'd be cool. I want to get into collecting iPods. Now that there's like a definitive start and end point for all iPods, it'd be cool to have like a shelf of like shuffles and a shelf of nanos and classics and touches, and that could be something easy to put on the shelves there. So I might be going that route.
And the weatherproof ones could be lower down?
Sure.